everyone, welcome to the Jayda InStitches show. Happy Friday and Happy New Year. It's a fresh new year. That means fresh new ideas, new projects, new ideas. But that also means that another year has passed, several in fact, and last year's projects and last year's ideas and last year's challenges may or may not be piling up in the corner. If you're new to crochet or you're new to the hobby, welcome. I hope you have as much fun with it as I do. And if you've been into crochet for a long time, then you may find that some of the things that you've been crocheting over the years are still hanging around. Hopefully, if you're crocheting, you're doing it because you really enjoy the process. Maybe you're making things for yourself, maybe you're making things for gift or donation. Those are the typical reasons that we like to crochet. Some of us use it as a vice. I know I do. I crochet to keep my sanity intact, and I know a lot of you do too. If you fall into that category, however, you might find that after several years of crocheting, it can start to pile up in the corner, and that could be despite your best efforts to gift these things or donate them. So today I thought we would tackle the question of what to do with all that crochet. Other than gifting it, which is something that I think a lot of us like to do, or donating it, which can take care of quite a lot, there are sort of some subcategories in there that you may or may not have thought of. Firstly, if you want to gift things, you can gift them to people you know. You can gift them to people's friends. Maybe friends of yours have an upcoming gift event, like a birthday or something, and they're not sure what to do for that other person. It might be a sort of a secondary individual that you may or may not know. You can offer them one of your things. Would you like to gift them one of these things that I've made? You know, that person seems to fit into this particular category, like it's a young child or it's a middle-aged woman or whatever. I have things in my stash of crochet projects that I've made. Perhaps you'd like to give them one of those. And that is a nice thing to do. It kind of reaffirms the relationship you have with your friend or your family member, and it allows you to kind of gift something nice and homemade off to somebody else who would probably appreciate it. So consider gifting to people via your friends and family if they fall into a category that fits the stuff you've crocheted, and if, you know, your friend or family member is racking their brain about what to give this person that they want to bring something to. Donation is another thing that we like to do. We often think of donating, you know, baby blankets to the natal units at hospitals. We think of maybe donating things to shelters, you know, warm hats and mitts and gloves. Those are great ideas, and I want us to continue to think about making stuff like that in that vein. But another thing you might consider donating for are your current projects that maybe you haven't got finished. These are things that maybe a child who's learning in a crochet kind of environment can take it apart or work on it. These are like maybe schools could use projects. Maybe they want to see some finished items that they are also going to try and emulate. Libraries sometimes take things for similar like school events or summer projects, like summer learning series. So you can contact local schools, maybe your local township, and find out if there are programs that are running outside of the usual thing you think of when you think of donating that might benefit from some of the things you've made or half made, as the case may be. Another thing you might want to consider donating to are charities. Local schools, again, hospitals as well, but a charity that is trying to put together a raffle in order to make money for some kind of fundraiser that they're up to. So keep your ears open. You know, maybe your local Lions Club or your Shriners or whatever kind of local group you might have that does fundraising might be in the middle of looking to source goodies, nice things. You know, sometimes they'll take big things like blankets and, you know, maybe stuffed toys. You want to have a lot of different things in a raffle typically at these events that appeal to a whole bunch of different people. So you might have something that fits the bill and you can donate it to this group who will then happily turn around and raffle it off, and you'll be helping to contribute to a good cause by crocheting without actually having to hand money over. And sometimes these groups can also give you a charitable donation. It's like a receipt which you can include on your taxes that you made a charitable donation. They'll give you a tax receipt for that thing. You just have to sort of figure out how much it cost you to make. That includes your time and the materials, and they will write you a little receipt for that donation, which is also kind of helpful for you as well. All right, you've gifted everything you can gift. You've donated everything you can donate. What's left? Well, there are a few other ideas that you may or may not have thought of. One of the most obvious ones is selling. Have you thought of selling your things? This doesn't mean that you have to go through the whole process of opening an online shop on Shopify or Etsy or some other online platform. It means you could also just sell through Facebook. Facebook has a marketplace. Other social media groups or social media platforms have things like a marketplace. There's Kijiji, there's all kinds of like bulletin board style digital platforms that you can post things for sale on. I think there's eBay, that's still up and running. So you don't necessarily have to open a shop, but you could just open a sort of an account or use an existing account that you have through social media if you've got it for their marketplace. And you can, sell locally in that case. If you don't like dealing with strangers digitally, then you might want to consider doing a craft fair. Craft shows and craft fairs can be an awful lot of fun. They can be a lot of work too, but they can be a lot of fun. You can meet new people and you can certainly sell some stuff. You also might just want to consider selling amongst your friends and family. Again, the same friends and family who might be racking their brains trying to think of something to give as a gift might be interested in purchasing some of the little things that you've got that you've made over the years, because they may not know that you've got them. Little stuffed toys or, nice stacks of dishcloths, whatever the case might be. You might consider just putting the word out there to your friends and family that if they're hard up for a gift, maybe they should come and talk to you because you might have something that fits the bill. And, you'll cut them a little bit of a deal in the meantime. Another thing you might want to consider if you're going to sell your goodies at a craft show or a church bazaar or whatever the case might be, is to sell them for a little bit less than maybe you might otherwise have done that or sold them for if you were trying to make money. So if you really want to thin out the pile of things that you have because they've been piling up in the corner, at this point, it's not necessarily about making money, it's about making your space back. So consider offering these things for sale at a rate that's better than what maybe they could do in China. So if the blanket you want to sell could be found at a store but made in China and therefore sold for like $50 when it should really have been $350, then I'm not saying to fully undersell yourself. I'm just saying you might want to consider offering these things for sale at a greatly reduced price because you want to free up the space in your house. And you could even have a little note on the table if you're at a craft sale saying, everything must go. Or use those old-fashioned selling techniques like, sale, everything must go, moving sale, or whatever the heck you feel might work best in that situation. And offer things for a little bit better of a price, and you'll be surprised at how much people will be happy to pick things up because they also may be trying to find a really unique gift for somebody who's hard to buy for, and you may just have made the thing that they're looking for. Now let's talk about a few ideas that you may have considered, maybe you've not considered, maybe you've never really thought of, maybe you thought of a few years ago and forgot about. These might fit the bill now that you've got quite a stack of stuff growing in the corner. First of all, can anything you've made be repurposed? I mean, like if you've got a blanket that you no longer want, or maybe it's a bit worn, but you don't really want to get rid of it, can you fold it up and seal it into a cushion? Can it become a nice cushion? Could it be stuffing for a cushion on the couch, perhaps? Could it be a big blanket scarf? Could you start wearing it underneath your winter coat as a scarf? Could you maybe turn it into a pet bed or a pet tent or something fun for one of your four-legged furry friends? If you've got little things like coasters or soft things that don't have extra bits in them, I'm not talking like stuffed toys, but like just little soft things, could they just be stuffing for another project if you're kind of sick of looking at them and you don't know what to do with them anymore? Could it be something that you could easily take apart? Maybe it was nice yarn and you want to use that yarn for something else. Could these things that you made be repurposed? So are you happy that you made it, but maybe you're done with looking at it, but you don't really want to give it away or gift it or donate it because it doesn't really fall into any of those categories? Is it something that could be made into something else, turned into something else, or taken apart completely? Repurposing is often a good way to deal with some of this old stuff that piles up in the corner. What about using it? So that sometimes is a novel concept for people who make things. Sometimes you spend so much time making something and you've put so much effort into it and it was so pretty and you just love the way it looks, you don't actually want to touch it anymore. You don't want to give it away. You just kind of put it on a shelf and they don't really do anything with it. Some of my friends who are into crochet make really pretty dishcloths and they don't end up using them. Use them. Use the blankets, use the cushions, use the dishcloths, use them up. Once they are threadbare and useless, you can throw them away or recycle them, but you'll feel good that you actually used up the thing that you made. Case in point, if any of you saw our heart pillow, this is my heart pillow. It's looking a little rough around the edges, but that's because I use it every day. I don't care that it's looking a little squished and it's not as pristine and fluffy and cloud-like as it was when I first made it. I've been using it every day in my reading chair. I sit on it, I use it as my backrest, sometimes I put it behind my neck, and I've been using it for years. It's holding up pretty well considering, and I love it. I love that cushion. I could have kept it looking pristine and pretty like some of the other ones I have, but I'd actually rather use it. That was the whole point of making it. I wanted a nice comfortable cushion for behind my back. So if you've got stuff that you've been keeping aside because it was pretty, could you use it? Could you use it up? That's another good way to thin down the pile of things in the closet. All right, let's talk about a little bit more gifting, but in a way that maybe you haven't considered before. If you've got a lot of little things, little toys, little fingerless gloves, little headbands, little hats, little things like that that are so much fun to make, they're very satisfying, often you can do them in a couple of hours, I find these are the projects that pile up the most. Now, typically I would say put these in your make-ahead stash. The make-ahead stash is great for gifting at the last minute. Maybe you want to add something to an extra gift. Maybe you want to you're going to a party and you think, oh, I better bring something. This is the stuff that winds up in the make-ahead stash that ends up going out the door as a little last-minute gift. But some of those things don't quite suit, like little stuffed toys or fingerless gloves or headbands or things that maybe don't quite suit the host that you're going to visit or don't quite suit the gift that you're giving away. Have you considered giving them away at Halloween? Halloween comes around and depending on where you live, you might end up with quite a lot of people coming to your door. Have you considered giving away little things at the door as a trick or a treat rather than candy? I do that. I give away little tiny stuffed toys. If I get the teen girls in there, especially the ones who are walking their younger siblings, I always offer them fingerless gloves or headbands or cute little sacks. And I usually have some little chocolate bars in there, but I love to make little sacks, little candy bags. I find I make those all the time. They pile up. Now, bags are a different story. You can always use a bag. You can always use a sack. Sacks are great for organizing, keeping things in your purse, keeping little things together. If you have little bits of yarn that you want to keep separate because you want to use it, but it doesn't quite belong in the scrap bag, they can go into a little sack. So sacks often have a use around the house, but if you make a whole lot of them, you can fill them full of goodies, including other little crocheted things, and give them out at Halloween. This is great, especially if you only have a handful of people coming, but if you make an awful lot of stuff, why not offer it up as a thank you or a trick or treat to the older kids, or just put a little bundle up on the front porch with a little sign saying, Happy Halloween, treat yourself and take one of these little goodies home. You'd be amazed at how excited people get over a little stuffed toy or a pretty little sack or just anything that's sort of crocheted, little mug cozies, whatever it is that you've crocheted a ton of, consider giving them away at Halloween. Have you done any yarn bombing? Yarn bombing was kind of a trend a few years ago. People kind of ran around randomly adding crochet things like little sweaters to trees or little appliques to chain link fences and stuff. And it, I think in some places it got a little out of control, but really it's kind of like art. If you don't like the idea of yarn bombing in the, traditional sense, or maybe you live in a place where they don't allow stuff like that, have you considered leaving gifts for strangers in public places? So for example, it's really fun to take some of the things you've made, the little toys, the little hats, mitts, gloves, whatever it is you've done and you don't really know what to do with. It could be anything from it's the size of a blanket to something tiny like a little amigurumi. Add a little note to it, and say something sweet like, smile, this is for you, or this is your lucky day, or anything. Some sweet cryptic little note. Take them out and leave them in places. Hang them in off of trees, or set them on park benches or picnic tables, or even give them to people if you're walking by an outdoor patio while someone's having a coffee. It's fun to randomly gift people little things. And it's a nice way to cut down on the pile of stuff in the corner, and it definitely makes people feel special and happy and kind of excited. It's a fun way to get rid of the stuff that you've been making while also making somebody feel good. So it's kind of like, consider it gifting, but gifting to a complete stranger. If you've got sort of the, if you're a little nervous interacting with people, you know, directly, then leave them. Leave little things with a tag on a park bench that just says, this is for you. If you found this, you can keep it. Little things like that. It makes people happy. And finally, if you love to crochet, if you're new to it, or if you've been at it for years, and you are looking down your nose at 2025 and you're thinking to yourself, I really want to keep crocheting, I want to do lots of stuff, and these are all great ideas, but you know, what happens over the next few years while it piles up again in the back room or the closet or the basement or the attic? How about for 2025, maybe just this year, you make one little tiny resolution, and that is make things with a little bit of intention. Doesn't always have to be that way, but make things knowing you'll be able to use them. Make things knowing you'll be able to give it away. Make things thinking that it's going to be fun this year at Halloween to have a chest full of little stuffed toys, or little mug cozies, or little fingerless glove pairs, or little hats, or whatever it is, little sacks full of candy. Think about the year ahead of you and how you want to use those things when you crochet them. I've been crocheting for over 30 years, and I do have a few bins full of things that I've made that I'm still not quite sure what to do with, mostly because I can't bring myself to part with them. And that's okay. If you're in that boat, don't worry about it. It's perfectly all right to have some things that you've made that you don't want to let go of. But as time moves on, I often meet people who are having babies or who are struggling with a child in a restaurant who's upset, and I almost always have a little something in my purse that I can give to the child, a little toy to keep them amused, or I have an extra scarf or an extra hat to give to somebody who's cold. It's just, it feels good. It isn't a big thing. It's actually a pretty small thing, but it makes other people feel recognized. And I loved making the hat, I loved making the scarf, but I don't actually have a need for it anymore, so why would I hang on to something like that when I know someone else could benefit from it? So I hope some of these ideas help you out with your journey of what to do with all that stuff, and maybe help kind of clarify the list of projects that you want to dig into in 2025. If you make it, you should enjoy it. That's the first and foremost rule. But if you don't want to end up with a great big pile of things sort of like stuffed into the closet with the door shaking, trying to keep it closed, consider one of these options for gifting, donating, trick-or-treating, or just using it up or giving it away in a kind of a fun, friendly, magical sort of way. It's a fun way to get rid of things. It's a fun way to pass it on and make other people feel good, regardless of how you do it. And if you have a few ideas for what to do with all the stuff, please feel free to leave it in the comment section down below. I'd love to read them, and I know other people would too. That's it for this week. We hope you enjoyed watching this, and we will see you again soon here on the Jayda and Stitches Show. Until then, stay safe, stay crafty, and we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
Hi, everybody. Mr. and Stitches here. Thank you for watching today. Here are some of our other videos you might be interested in. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.